Shop Live. We are so excited that you are with us for the next hour. We are live here. They have won Grammys, CMAs, ACMs, AMAs, and Emmy. And in April 2022, they released their single, Hell Yeah, which already has 31 million global streams, which is incredible. You guys, please welcome Karen, Kimberly, Jimmy, and Philip, Little Big Town.
Thanks.
Hi.
It's great to see everybody.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
I love seeing y'all. I know you know that, but
we love
seeing you.
We always love hanging out with you.
Well, thanks. I love that we're doing this. So tonight on Talk Shop Live, we have so much to talk about around Mr. Sun, your 10th studio album, which is a huge feat in and of itself. But before we get to that, tonight only on Talk Shop Live, you get an exclusive signed poster when you buy the CD or vinyl. Do you have that exclusive poster behind you, Jimmy?
I think we do.
Jimmy.
Right here.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Pulling
Show
it
us,
out.
Vanna.
Vanna White. Do we have a pen so you guys can sign it while we're sitting here?
Sure, we can sign it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
grab a
There's a
Sharpie
Sharpie,
back there, Philip.
So
You
with
wanna
just
start?
tonight, while we're live on Talk Shop Live, you get a special pricing on the CD for $14.99 or the vinyl for $39.99. And you can send in your questions on the chat. We want to answer your questions too. I have a ton
We love it.
after listening to the record on repeat the last couple of days.
Thank you.
Of course. I'll just you
All
guys are signing these while we're live.
Here we go. Okay. I guess I'm gonna go in the sky. Karen, I'm gonna let hers dry. I don't want to smear it. It would be terrible if I'd smeared it.
We'll let you sign as we're talking.
Okay.
So let's talk about Mr. Sun. I love this record. I've listened to it on repeat for probably the last week since your team sent it to me, and it is, y'all, this might be one of my favorite records you've ever done.
Thank you.
So nice.
And it's your 10th studio album, which again, I said it's a
Wow.
feat in and of itself. What does that mean to you? Does this record feel different? Does it feel special in some sort of way?
Yeah, definitely. It's
Yeah, and it feels new. You
It
say
is
10.
new.
it is new
Without
for
really-
everyone.
It is new.
For us, not so new. We've been working on it for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. It feels great because we were able to come out of COVID and make this record and finish it, and it feels great to have new music out.
Yeah. Well, you guys had just released Nightfall in January of 2020. With Nightfall, you stepped into the producer role for the first time. The album debuted at the top of the charts. It featured songs like The Daughters, one of my personal favorites, and Wine, Beer, and Whiskey, which a song that alone has earned 362 million global streams. It's nominated for a Grammy for Best Country Album. You're on a huge tour promoting that record, and then the world shut down due to the pandemic. So what was that like for you as a band those next couple of months? Because that's really the first time you guys had been apart for a significant amount of time.
Yeah.
It was sad. Plus that tour, that was the
just
most
started.
fun tour. I mean, at that point, I was like, this is my favorite tour ever.
Yeah.
And then the rug just got pulled out from under us, and it was sad.
Yeah.
It was sad. But then we didn't see each other for 5 months, and then,
That had never happened.
I'd say, what was that like being apart? I mean, other than like sad, but what was that like being apart for 5 months for the four of you?
Odd.
odd,
Yeah, it's really
scary.
weird.
Jimmy was wondering where I was. No.
She was living here before. I'm just kidding.
Where'd
No,
you
we're
go?
married. So, yeah, there was no
case
getting
y'all
away.
forgot.
Yeah, he was stuck with me. But yeah, that was weird. I think
was so
we
weird.
spent so much creative energy
Yeah.
into the record, and the production of the tour started off at Carnegie Hall. It was
Right.
so much fun. We went to all these iconic theaters like the Apollo, the Fox in Atlanta.
Atlanta was the last
And
one.
yeah, that was the last one, and then we were like, well, we'll just be off for a couple months. And,
Exactly.
you know, the couple months turned
Couple
into more
weeks.
months, and it was hard. It was hard, but out of it came like a renewed drive to get back to doing what we love.
Yeah.
Singing live, being in the studio. It was 469 days from show to show. And
Not that anyone's counting.
Yeah.
Right.
and we were literally counting down every moment to get back to the fans.
Was there a certain song that started off this record? In terms of like what you wrote first or what kind of launched you into recording this album?
I was thinking about this the other day.
All Summer makes me think of a bit of it.
All summer was
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
very-
early
it
on.
that was
really,
the fun, like, you know, because during the last couple of years, we just needed things to look forward to.
Yeah.
You know, so All Summer kicks off the record to just remind us that there are better days ahead, and you know, things to celebrate.
Which you wrote that with a group of women on a trip to California, right?
Well, the trip to California was after we wrote that at the beach. It was a different trip.
Okay.
But yeah.
Lots of trips.
Yeah. Like Buxton, Maddie Diaz, Savannah
Yeah.
Santos, Lisa Vanderheim, Ashley Ray. Just, like a last minute girls trip. that
Always
turned
the
in-
best kind.
Oh, it's the best.
Always the
It's
best.
Came
the
back with
best.
some fresh stuff to play
Yeah,
for us.
it was fun.
So, for you guys that are just tuning in, tonight on Talk Shop Live only, you have an exclusive signed poster when you buy the CD or vinyl. We have a limited quantity, and they are going fast, so make sure you get yours. You get special pricing on the CD for $14.99 and the vinyl for $39.99. I know we've got some fan questions coming in as well. Do you have... You guys keep sending your questions in the chat.
What are we supposed to do with this?
Jimmy's
I just
got
want
a-
you to just hold it.
Here, I
Do you
can
have the
set that
record
there.
back there too? You want to
Yeah,
show the
yep.
vinyl?
Yep. I'm
Jimmy's
gonna
got all the swag.
re-sign this because that.
Go ahead.
Okay, let's see. Joe S. wants to know, what advice would you give now to your younger selves who are just starting out?
Oh.
Trust your instincts.
Yeah. Here's the album.
Unless your instincts suck.
And
No,
don't.
I'm just kidding.
And then question it.
No, I think like really, wear a fur coat in the middle, a red fur coat. No, I really do. We were talking about it earlier today. Like
It's
if we could-
fashion.
it's fashion.
It's fashion.
If we could have just like in the beginning gone with our gut, whether it was right or wrong. But you have so many voices in your head, and you respect a lot of people in the business and musically, but everyone's going to have an opinion,
Right?
and so you gotta
Stick to who you are.
kind of like
Yeah.
figure that out, and it takes some woodshedding and working. And for us, it was a few years later.
A little bit of sifting.
See, it's interesting to me that you say that, because when I think of the four of you, both individually and collectively, and the entirety of your career that I've watched, I just feel like you have always operated out of your integrity, staying true to who you are, the music you wanted to create, the stories you wanted to tell. So how have you stuck to that?
Well, I think we learned that early on.
Yeah.
We signed a deal right off the bat, and 6 months later, figured out that wasn't feeling like the right place to be. So we're immediately in a place to make a decision. Is this who we are, or is this not who we are?
Right.
And I think we learned that lesson really quickly in that moment, because we saw choices being made for us that when you're young, you're just trying to figure out who you are, your identity, and that takes some time.
Right.
And but early on, we did discover that, and probably you didn't know that because you never heard the record prior to that.
Did I
No one did. Family members, that was it.
You might have heard it, maybe.
You might have,
Maybe.
but we learned that early on, and it's something that we took to heart.
But look at this one.
Right?
We have way better clothes.
Fashion is on point.
Thanks.
Thank
Would
you.
you like to see
That
the
would-
CD version?
Do you know our resident
This-
fashionista?
The
Well-
resident fashionista. And that CD right there is special pricing.
Yes.
$14.99 with an
Right
here,
exclusive
people.
signed poster.
Nope.
And the vinyl, $39.99. We've got limited quantities, so you guys get them. Okay, I want to do another fan question. Chelsea J wants to know, which song are you most excited for fans to hear?
Oh man,
I think-
that's tough.
Rich Man, which a
Rich Man,
lot of them have
yeah.
already heard Rich Man, but
Right.
I just want the world to hear that song. It's so special. It just affects people just in a very emotional way, and it's how we all feel about Jimmy wrote it, but it's how we all feel about our families and our lives, and how grateful we are for what we've been given.
Yeah. Which, Jimmy, you worked on that song for a decade now, right? Sometimes it takes the right timing.
Somewhat.
It's
It
the
was.
right
It was a
timing.
little more of like I started it, had a pretty most of the song, and it's one of those that just every now and then would just come back around, and
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, there's something in there. I just can't grasp it yet, and so it was something that would just come back around, and I would work on it a little bit, and And then eventually, a year or so ago, a couple of years ago, I finally felt like, okay, that's the way it should be. And then played it for some friends, and they loved it. And then the next thing you know, it's on the record. So it's really special to me.
That song, I remember you guys performed it live for the first time on an award show, right?
No, we
It was
did
at
it
the,
actually for our label at the Universal
Yeah,
Luncheon.
the Universal
Oh,
Luncheon.
At the
that's what
Ryman.
it was.
That's right.
Yes.
At the Ryman.
Yeah, and
Which
You
can
could hear
feel
a
like
pin
an award
drop
show.
in that. You all did that song in a great way.
Thank you.
yeah,
In a great way.
thank you. Yeah, that was the first time I think that we had done it live. So
Yeah, and I love that in the lyric video it features all of your families.
Yeah,
Which is
our
really
memories over the years on the road,
Yeah.
and our kiddos, and
yeah,
living life on the road.
we were talking about making another even like more storytelling video yesterday, like for the Rich Man song, and Elijah who's in the video. He goes, "Why would you do that? What's better than all of us in the video?" I mean, seriously, what story are you going to tell
He
in the
was-
video?
He's right.
Pretty adamant about it.
He
Yeah,
was
he's like,
very
"Why are you
adamant. He
doing
goes,
that?"
I mean, made me tear up. Why would you change it?
And how old is he now?
12.
12.
So
All
to
right,
tear up at
take
12.
He doesn't
for
tear
a
up
boy
that.
is
He
like-
actually said that he was like, "Dad, I don't cry that much."
I mean, and that has to mean so much to you as a dad. That he's tearing
Absolutely.
up to that song.
Absolutely, that's
That's
everything.
really sweet. It makes me want to tear up a little bit. All right, so if I'm looking at the album as a whole, Mr. Sun has this really great warmth to it. And so you start with All Summer, which is really flirty and fun, and you end with Friends of Mine, which that song kind of like I had to take a minute, and there's a part with the harmonies that I was sitting in Frothy Monkey listening to the record, and I about was like, oh, Lord.
I know.
Got a little
bit of
church in there.
Little gospel
That
music
song
in
is
there.
so special,
Oh,
but
thank you.
this whole record from start to finish kind of feels like the perfect companion for like joy, beauty, heartbreak of life. And it feels like every song is very intentional that you put on the record.
Yes.
Was that intentional?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
We had to, I mean, getting down to that list. Because there were
Which
more.
still ended at 16.
I know, it was
We had-
16.
I think that's the
You're
most
getting a
songs.
great value.
I think that's the most songs we've ever put on a record. But
It is.
It was hard to
How did you
whittle
decide?
it down.
Well, it felt like certain songs couldn't not live with the other one.
Yeah.
So they had to be together. And
Yeah.
just they had to be together.
Which I love on Friends of Mine. All of you wrote on that particular song.
Yeah.
What was it like writing that song? Because this is really like a gift to your fans and friends and the people that have
Yeah.
supported you over the years.
Foy Vance is a
Yeah.
very intentional writer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An artist. Like, if you guys should follow
Oh,
Foy.
he's,
I mean,
he's a magical man.
He is a magical creature. But he really dove in with us for a couple days, and we wrote a bunch of songs, and he was into the idea of doing a show closer kind of moment.
And a message to our fans.
Yeah, and a
Yeah.
message to the fans, and he just he's so in tune with his own, just his
He's just
soul,
Soul, yes.
and light, and
Yeah.
love, and
I just remember how special that feeling was.
Ugh.
Oh,
that
it's
day.
Yeah.
so special.
Yeah.
We knew we were just doing it together, and we were celebrating the fans. We were celebrating what we do for a living. We were celebrating music, and that song just poured out. It was so fun.
Yeah.
And that's one of the ones too that I feel like started and was a beginning and an end. to
Right.
the
Yeah, we actually
process.
wrote that at the end of the Nightfall record, and we had already kind of closed that all up. So it didn't work for that record, but it's definitely the song that we were holding on to, and knew
Yeah.
that it felt special.
I'm glad that we saved it for this
Yeah.
record because what we've all been through as a country,
Yeah, it changed.
as the world,
Yeah.
it's even more impactful. Things like Rich Man, God Fearing Gypsies on the record, those are thematic things that we're saying for us.
Right.
There are things we can choose to focus on that are positive and make the world better or not. And we want to send that out there.
Yeah.
We're a band that likes to celebrate.
I know that.
You know that
I
about
know that. I know that before we walked in here today.
We're celebrating.
Talk shop.
I was like, my wine is in the other room. We'll get us up soon. We'll get us up soon. Okay.
Ron Burgundy's in the back over here.
I'm right here for it.
Well, you guys produced this record too. It's self-produced. So even in thinking about a song like Friends, my brain just totally I just totally blanked. This is what
Mine,
happens.
yeah.
Thank you.
No,
this
you're
is what
right.
happens
No,
in
that's
life
right. We call it
sometimes.
Friends.
Yes, thank you, Friends of Mine. in deciding how you wanted to record that song, kind of how did you guys go about it in working together, producing this record?
Well, that one's like so piano based.
Yeah.
Off of the way the vocal plays against the rhythm of the piano, very storyteller. And then, so how do you think about how do you make that big? Can you make it big? And then we kind of looked back at records and dynamics and things that we loved. And luckily, I mean, not every day in the studio is magical. Some days are hard. And
Some days it's a grind.
you go, hey, we should stop and go get cheeseburgers or something,
And some wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this day, with all of our band guys that are on the road with us and our engineer, Josh, that's on the road with us too, recording, we just were in a zone and the pieces of the puzzle were coming together and we were singing and playing live at the same time. And just people's inspiration in the room, like somebody said, what if we busted down and we're clapping, like if you were in church.
Kind of gospel.
And then that led a keel on keys to change the chords and make them very gospelly in that section, which opens up the way it
Which
feels
led to my hand raise in the
musically.
crowd.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah,
I love that.
So, I don't know. We're just, sometimes you go, man, I'm lucky that I was in the room that day.
Absolutely.
Is there a favorite memory or like really funny memory from recording this record and you guys being in the studio? I'm sure there are a few, knowing the four of you, but
Oh, gosh.
is there one you kind of go back to?
There was this funny little weird game we were playing. It was whatever words. We made a list of weird words, and I can't remember them now. But
Oh,
it
yeah,
was
we
like
did.
the words that sounded like something else.
Oh, yeah.
They're like studio words. The only things you would say in the
In
studio.
the studio.
They only work in the studio, but they could work outside of the studio, too. So
Yeah.
we made a big, long list. That was always a fun game to play.
That one, and then there was a studio mouse.
Oh,
It would
Like,
always
really,
come out.
really lonely during COVID.
okay.
And so he was coming out.
It's like people.
So we would be sitting there,
Came
and
at
then
it.
like,
and then we
and,
have
like,
some
feet
people
up.
that are really freaked out by that. That
Yeah.
were,
That would be me.
But-
I would be out. I'd be like, I'll
What
see
did
you
we
later.
name him? We named him.
Albert.
I don't know.
That was
He liked that the pinball machine.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Maybe he was scared of it.
I can't believe Albert did get a spot on the record.
We should have gave him credit.
He's on there somewhere.
Special.
Yeah.
He's in the credits. A special thanks
He
somewhere.
was clapping with us.
Okay, I want to get to another fan question. Karen S. wants to know, what is advice you would give to her as a songwriter?
Oh, wow.
Maybe change your name. No, I'm just kidding. Karen. I'm just kidding.
Karens are getting a hard time
I
these
was gonna
days.
say something
really
about
hard getting a hard
that
time.
on camera. When we're not on camera, I want to talk about that.
Karen's getting a really
Karen
hard time.
is beautiful.
I think,
All the Karens.
actually stick with your name.
I have a new
Yes.
name for Karens. That's why
I
we'll
think
talk
that's a
about
great
it.
idea. Can we make it
We
someone?
can't talk
Can't
about
say
it.
it right now. Okay, yeah. We'll talk about it later. What was the question?
What would
I
you
got
give-
distracted
what would
right
you
now.
give
Karen,
advice
her
to
name
Yeah,
is
Karen,
for
advice
songwriting.
versus songwriting.
Yeah, songwriting.
Oh,
Right.
Just-
yeah. Just
Just write. Wake up, write. Let your song in your heart come
and
out.
don't edit yourself. That's what I mean. I think a lot of times we get so many voices in our heads
Yeah.
that we're starting with, "Oh, I can't do that. I can't do that." Just do it. There
Right.
are no rules. There
Right,
are
and
no
don't edit.
rules
You
to
can
music.
edit later.
Yeah, let it come out, and then worry about that later.
It's almost like journaling. Just get it
Yeah,
all.
you just gotta.
Get it
Yeah.
all out.
I mean, I remember having a conversation with Lori McKenna during the pandemic after Nightfall and Carnegie Hall and all that stuff was happening. I took a little bit of a hiatus from writing and doing anything creative because I was kind of
Burnt? You burnt
a
out?
little bit,
Yeah.
and I was just like disappointed. We had spent so much time on all the creative and stuff.
Kind of grieving the Nightfall thing.
Yeah, and then Lori, we got onto FaceTime one night. Remember? We did a
Yeah,
wine
yeah,
face night,
That's fun.
FaceTime night with the
The wine
Zoom.
face night. I want to go to
Zoom.
that.
It's like a wine,
night.
A wine in
Yeah.
your face
in
night.
your face night.
Is that
Anyhow,
every
she
night?
said-
I think that's
community.
every
It's
night.
called
It's
community.
called community.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
she said, I was like, am I gonna be able to write after this? And she's like, just do it. Just start doing it again.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that little spark, because I had probably my most creative last couple of years for me as a writer. And It was just like, it's like exercising the muscle of anything
Yeah.
that we need to do creatively.
Yeah.
You know, whatever any of us are doing. So, Karen, don't change your damn name. and
Right.
just write.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm a firm believer in just living creatively. Like, I think the more, like you just said, the more you exercise that muscle in general, just being creative, that feeds into all the other things of your life that are creative. That's something that's really been a game changer for me, just almost like creative dates with yourself. You
Yeah.
know?
Well, and I think for me, anytime I'm creating anything, if I hit a block or whatever it is, and I can't, I'm just like feeling like I'm beating my head against a wall. I feel like I have to go live life a little bit
Yeah.
and be with my people, and then come back and things start to
Let it
make
rest.
sense again.
Flow, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a friend that does movie trailers for a living, like big blockbuster ones. And he takes a day a month, and that one day he does nothing but going out to be inspired by whatever he wants. Like phone down, nature, movies, whatever he wants to do that he feels like is going to inspire him. And I thought, man, wouldn't it be great?
Or like just feeds your soul.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that is so good. Hey, will you grab that vinyl again?
Yes. You mean this
For
vinyl?
anybody
vinyl are
that's
you
just
talking
tuning
about?
in right now
Look
on
at
Talk
this
Shop Live
picture,
with
guys.
myself and Little Big Town.
Who are these people?
Guys, Mr. Sun is coming out September 16th, and tonight only on Talk Shop Live. Do you guys want to say it or you want me to say it?
You better say it.
You get
You
an
might say it wrong.
exclusive signed poster when you buy the CD.
Here's the poster.
There's the poster. Are we halfway through?
Where's
No,
the
everybody
CD?
signed it.
No, the boys just sign in the bottom, and we know to sign in the side where we can be seen.
Here we go.
That's fair. That's fair. You can buy a CD or vinyl. We have a limited quantity, so make sure you get yours. The CD is a special price tonight for $14.99, and the vinyl for $39.99. And if you didn't hear me say this earlier, I've had this album on repeat for the last week, and I love it, start to finish.
Thank you.
Start
Thank
to
you
finish.
so
I'm not
much.
just saying that, guys. I'm
Thank
serious.
you.
We
Thank
believe
you.
you.
I was
Thank you.
texting our mutual friend, Topher Brown, who's one of
Oh, Topher.
Who has
who I
two or
think's
three
watching.
songs?
He was like,
Topher.
"Do I get a shout
Toph!
out?"
Topher!
We miss you, buddy.
Mwah.
Love
He
you
wrote
guys.
one more song. He wrote Wine, Beer, and Whiskey on the last record.
Right.
But he wrote one more song on this record, Better Love Next Time, that
Better
just
Love,
came
yeah.
out
Mm-hmm.
a week and a half ago or so. He's
screaming
probably
it.
going to text him and
He's-
go, I also
You know,
wrote
He's like,
Yeah.
"No, I think there's two.
two.
I think
Okay.
I
I
looked
think
at
it's
two."
funny you bring up one more song because you should tell how they wrote that song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were on the road.
You tell the story. Topher told me the story. You tell the story.
We were on the road riding with
Yeah, we were traveling around.
Sean McConnell.
and
Sean
Sean.
Sean McConnell.
They were out riding with us, and it was a whole weekend of shows. So in between, they were driving and kind of following along in a car. So they had to drive to the next gig. And when they got to the next gig, they were like, "Hey, we wrote a song on the way here
Acapella.
with
Acapella,
no
yeah.
instruments, just
in the car.
in their head, wrote it, and it's
Because what
Called
songwriters
One
do
More
in
Song.
this town, we have the best in the world. They prep to get to a session because they think we're going to be distracted, which we are. You know, like kids,
They
the
need to keep
road,
everybody
sound
on
check,
task.
everything. And instead of waiting on us, they just wrote the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Yeah.
still bitter about that.
Well,
Couldn't you
But-
just waited a few more hours? They said it was
There were
coming
other
out.
songs that you guys wrote that weekend, though,
Yes,
right?
we,
Yeah.
yes,
Wine,
we had a
Beer, and
great
Whiskey.
weekend.
Wine, Beer, and Whiskey. came
Yeah,
out.
Problem Child was that
So it
weekend.
all worked
Problem
out.
Child.
Off of the last
It
It
all
record.
worked
did.
out.
It worked out.
But there's a duet on that song, too.
Yeah.
Yes.
On one more song that
Yes.
they wrote in the car. These two.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Which is fire. Yes.
It is great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, it's emotional. It's an emotional
It
song.
needs to be in a movie. That
That's a
song
great
needs
idea.
to be at the climax, the most devastating part of the movie.
Yes.
Where they literally dance
They slow dance.
one more time.
One last song.
Just one
more song.
with some wine.
Yep.
Yeah.